right. So I wanted to explain a couple of things that has to do with content availability group. The reason why I'm drilling further um, on this is to be able to explain and break down things you wouldn't ordinarily have the time to go drilling, and you probably wouldn't know um, to be able to go in the direction that this video is going to um, look into. So let's see um, those scenarios that I want to show us. Again, this is not a full video. This is basically to explain um, all of the use case scenarios, right? So, like I said in my previous video, content has a lot that you can do with it. You just have to be creative. You just have to, and some of those will have to come with experience. So I'm bringing that experience to your doorstep. Okay, so I've done all the hard work to make life easy for you. So let's get started. So now, right here we have AG container 1, and this is my external primary, which is my main primary. And here I have the AG container 2, which is my secondary, traditionally keyword. When I say traditionally, if you set up a regular always on availability group, you will have the primary and you will have the secondary. So this is the secondary to this primary. Okay, so this other connection here is just a regular connection with some guy with a sysadmin permission. Okay, now this other connection is just a low level permission that without any uh, the permission is low. Let's just keep it simple, low permission. While this guy has connection, this connection is made through the listener, the content availability group listener, and not just that, it is made through a listener, but using the CZME account to make the connection to the listener. And this highlighted connection is the war room, if you will, where you control the content availability group. When you connect using the listener with an account that has a CZME, so that account and that connection using the listener of the content availability group, that is a connection that you use to configure everything that has to do with the content availability group. Any other connection, if you do anything, set up anything, configure anything under any other connection other than using the listener and the account that you're using to connect to the listener, having a sysadmin permission, such activity outside of this account will not count for AG. So this is the main guy in this overview. So pay attention to whenever I get to this last connection. This is the connection that make things happen on the content availability group. So what am I here to explain different from what I did the last time? So we want to see what happens when you fail over, because in my last illustration, I did not talk about failing over. What happened when you fail over from the external primary to the external secondary? What happened to the connection? What happened to the link servers? What happened to the users, to the logins? What happened to how does things look like when you fail over? Because this is AG, right? So when you have AG, there is that tendency of you failing over, right? Now, remember that in content availability group, the failover mode is manual, and what's the word? Let me practically go there. So I'm going to go to, this is my main primary. I'm going to go to the availability group itself. Where is it? I'm going to go to this AG. Actually, not that one, this one. So what I'm trying to say is I go to the properties and I go to, so right here, availability mode. Actually, this is not how it is with the content availability group. The availability mode has to be on asynchronous, A for Apple, asynchronous, not synchronous. The only time you switch from asynchronous to synchronous is when you are about to do a failover. And the reason for that, I will explain. The reason for that is so that you will have, the reason is so there will be no data loss. If you leave it on asynchronous, you are definitely putting yourself up to have some form of data loss. So during the failover process in content availability group, you have to go to the main availability group, the primary at that time, and go to the properties and switch it from asynchronous, which is the standard way of it operating. It has to be asynchronous. So you have to switch it to synchronous, do the failover. Once the failover is done, go back to the current primary at the time or at that time and change the availability mode from synchronous to asynchronous after the failover is done. And the next time you want to do the failover again, you go to the properties of any current primary, switch it from asynchronous to synchronous to avoid any possibility of data loss. Okay, that's explanation number one. Okay, so literally, since I already have, now let me keep things the way it's supposed to be. Keep things on asynchronous. Okay, and I will click OK. All right, so now my first illustration will be what happens when you fail over. But before I do the failing over, and when it is on asynchronous, so what happens is the primary is going to show the databases that are part of the content availability group will show synchronized status only on the primary. If the availability mode is on asynchronous, the primary will show synchronized, including the master for the content availability group and the MSDB for the content availability group, and all associated databases for the content availability group. In my example, this is an associated DB for the content, and these are the system master and MSDB databases, and this other user database is also part of. So two user databases are part of the content availability group, and two master databases that got when you are creating content availability group, it comes with the two master databases. I've already explained this, and these master databases has nothing to do with your traditional system databases. These system databases as associated with the content only serves the content AG and nothing more. So they all stay in a synchronized mode. It stays synchronized regardless of the availability mode that you have on the primary only. But on the secondary, let's see what happens. So let me refresh so I can get an up-to-date status of how it looks. So on the secondary of that AG, the databases that are part of the content availability group shows synchronizing. As you can see here, it says synchronizing right here, synchronizing. Now, this other database Now, that's the beauty with content availability group. This guy is also part of an AG, but not the content. So whatever I'm messing with these other guys here, from this guy to this guy, it has nothing to do with this one because this belongs to a different AG altogether, the traditional AG. Okay, so this is showing synchronizing, while this, the primary, is showing synchronize. So let's flip back to the connection using the listener of the content AG, which is this. So how does things look like? So let's look at the databases folder. So it doesn't show anything. It just shows that these databases are part of the content availability group. So you refresh the databases, it's not showing you synchronize or anything, but they are. And then when you flip back to, and of course, you remember, if you notice, the listener of the content does not have the availability group folder. I explained earlier that when you set up a content AG, it behaves your external primary now behaves sorry, your content AG listener behaves like Azure managed instance in the cloud. With Azure managed instance, Microsoft is managing the what is it called? Is managing the AG. Most of those major configuration is managed internally, so you don't get to see it. So this is what is happening here. So your connection using the listener and with the CZMIN permission, you can't even see the AG folder. So you cannot manage your AG using your connection as using the listener connection. That is something very important to pay attention to. All right, so let's, I don't want this video to be long. I want it to be very short. Okay, so let's see. So now I also want to show us where things are before I start messing things around or moving things around. So right here we have link servers. So I created one link server. So this link server is contain catalog of databases from my that are part of the content availability group. So I created the link server here to magically bring me all the databases that are part of the content availability group so I can have access, I can view those databases without necessarily going to my content availability group connection using the listener. So what is it called? The link server brings the content AG members to your doorstep. Let's put it that way. It brings the content AG members to your doorsteps, and from your comfort zone, you can access the content database just for select statement purposes, for reporting purposes, for view purposes. You can view it. Now, if you flip over, we also have created a link server on the listener of the content availability group. And what is the listener here, the link server here having? The link server here is giving you the opportunity of interacting with databases that are associated with the I don't even know if that makes sense, but the link server that we have on the listener has databases that are on the external primary, right? Now, the difference is that let's go to this other guy and see the listener here. To the main external primary. Let's go to the link server. So the link server, now that's the difference. Pay attention, please. The link server that came, that brings your content databases member to your doorstep. If you notice, you don't have the content master database and content MSDB database available, because these are the databases that are available on the content only. But when the listener created a link server to be able to access what is on the external primary, if you notice that that listener, which is able to connect to the external primary, is having the content master for the AG and the content MSDB for the AG, plus the actual associated databases that are for the content availability group. That is a difference. In case someone asks you that question in an interview. So when you create a link server from your listener to be able to access the member databases that are members of the content, so databases that are on your external primary, that link server will give you the associated user databases plus the master databases that only exist on the external primary. The link server will provide those two master databases and the databases that are part of the content availability group. That is a difference. So if you say that in an interview, someone will know that you know what you're saying and you are very knowledgeable as far as that conversation is concerned. Okay, so I've been able to prove that. So up to this point, I've not messed up anything. Now it's time to start messing things up. So the expectation is that when I fail over, you are not supposed to be able to, it will mess up this link server on your content availability group listener connection. The link servers on your listener connection on the content availability group will be messed up. Now, but the link server on the external primary will remain intact. Okay, so let's literally see that in action and some other things that we are likely to observe. So let's go ahead and fail over. So this is external, and this is let's look at the AG, and I'm moving things around a lot. So this is the content AG. You right click, you go to the replicas, you see the AG container 1 is the current primary and AG container 2 is the current primary. And also, before I do, the link server that you create between the external primary and the, what is it called? The external primary and the content availability group listener only exists between the external primary and the listener of the content availability group. You would think that this secondary of the external primary will also have something to do with that. It does not, because these databases that are part of the content AG, they are only here because of the AG configuration, right? Normally, but physically, when you set up a link server, it has nothing to do with the AG, the secondary of your external configuration. But even when this AG2 becomes a primary, even when it becomes a primary, the link server will not be available on this current secondary that will then become the primary. Okay, so enough talking. So let's do the practical. So I'm going to go to the primary of my AG, content AG, right click. See, right now it is primary. So let's look at the dashboard first. So the dashboard looks good. So right on top here, it shows the two replicas involved, the AG container 1 and AG container 2. And on that AG container 1, you have all these databases. If you notice, it has the two masters associated with the two system databases associated with the content availability group, and the user databases that are part of the content availability group. That's what shows up here. So this doesn't look like it. If I go to my traditional AG dashboard, I'm going to see something different, right? Feels good, right? Now the AG, the secondary is only having, is also having the same information, which is the system databases and the um, uh, participating user databases. So that is out of the way. So let's go ahead and do a failover. Right click and do failover and do next. So right here, this is what I wanted to show us. If you notice, it's showing us this warning icon, meaning that if we go ahead with the failover, you are being warned here that there will be a data loss. And if you check the availability mode, it shows asynchronous, which is a reason which kind of makes sense. If you flash back to my earlier explanation. So this guy you need to flip this guy back to synchronous momentarily just to be able to do the full failover. Once you're done, you come back and leave it because the normal status for your content availability group is for the availability mode to be on asynchronous, A for Apple. Okay, so let's cancel this and go back and change that. So we go here, go to the properties, and then go to the availability mode. Just click here and pick synchronous and click here and pick synchronous. Failover mode must remain manual in content availability group. I'm going to say that again. The failover mode must be manual. You cannot have your failover mode being set to auto when it comes to content availability group. You learned something? Definitely, yes. So that is taken care of. So let's try to do the failover this time. Let's do next. So if you notice, we are no longer seeing the warning sign, and we know why. So let's go next. Now make the connection to the secondary and say next. And this is the summary. We say finish. We check the progress. Things are moving fine. It is done. The failover has happened. So let's check what we have here. So right now, so let's go ahead. This is our primary before now. This guy is no longer the primary. And don't take my words for it. So you come to the content AG. See, it is now secondary. Okay. And then, so this traditional secondary, now, this guy is now the primary. Again, don't take my words for it. So you go in here and see, it shows primary. So this is traditional AG. The normal AG, you know, is also here. Okay, so this is a normal AG that you know. Sorry, not that guy. Yep. So the normal AG, you know, is minding its business, staying on doing the job that it was set up to do. It has there is no awareness of what we are doing with the content availability group. This database is part of the traditional AG and it exists. See, the dashboard looks different on the same server. See the dashboard of the content AG? It shows. Oh, where is that dashboard? Yep. So the dashboard of the content AG looks different. Of course, this is the old connection because I have changed over. Okay. So I got to cancel this. And this is the dashboard for the traditional AG, right? So it's important for me to demonstrate that so we can see it. And let's get the new dashboard from the new secondary now. So two dashboard exists on one server. This is amazing. Two dashboard exist. Dashboard 1 for the content availability group and dashboard 2, where's that guy? and dashboard 2 for the traditional availability group. Beautiful, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and start seeing the mess I have done. Oh, I actually forgot to demonstrate. So this link server was here before we fail over. Now the secondary previously on the external server is now the primary. So let's refresh things here. This is my connection using the listener to the content availability group. So we have refreshed. So let's click and let's do that. So we have that connection. So let's disconnect and connect back. So we're going to disconnect from that edge, from the listener. Now try to connect back to the listener. So the listener is now here. Or is it? Yep, that guy is now here. So let's make the connection. We are back to the content availability group. So let's go straight to, let's test things around with the link server first. So that guy is here. And the link server is visible for the current primary. So we are able to see it. So let's go to this guy here. Let's go to the now secondary and check where things are. So this is for all the databases that are part of the content availability group. Okay, we can see only the 2 databases associated with the content availability group. So again, I'm gonna want to disconnect from it and connect back to that AG container 1. Okay, let's connect back. It's now at the bottom. Okay, again, go here, and check the link server, and go here, and go to the catalog, and we see everything as it was. So let's go to, so this is the connection as the listener. So we are able to see everything. So you can do that. See, you can see the table. Okay. Yep. We can see all of that. We can click on that. You can see the system tables for the content AG, which normally you're not supposed to have access to that from your managed instance, because this guy is like a managed instance, but you are able to see the system databases. So let's go to there is a connection that I want us to see. This connection here is with a sysadmin, but it's neither the primary nor the secondary. So if you notice, we have, so let me refresh this. So everything stays synchronized. And then if you go to check the link server with that sysadmin connection, so there is no link server available for this guy. And if you go to, and also there is this regular connection is also seeing the availability group folder. You can see everything because this guy is a sysadmin. But on the AG listener itself, the content availability group listener itself, there is no availability group folder to start with. Availability group folder is just after replication. Okay, this is replication and there is no availability group. So you do not manage the availability group when you connect to your AG using the listener or any other connection. Okay, so let's go to the star of the moment, which is the secondary. This guy is now the primary. So so let's take things back to asynchronous. So I'm going ahead to do this. What is it called? Yeah. So let's switch this back to asynchronous. Switch back to asynchronous and say, okay, that's how we wanted to do. So when you refresh right now, this guy, okay, it has changed. Okay, it has changed already. So let's refresh this guy. What did I do? synchronize on the primary expected. And on the non-primary, let's refresh this guy. It says synchronize. What is the status that I have? So here, no, we can't see anything from there. So let's see. I hope I'm not getting things mixed up. So let's go to here again, go to the AG and go to the properties. It is asynchronous. Yep, that remains asynchronous. Refresh it. And this is the primary. Yes, it should stay this way. Who is on top here? Okay, these two connections, they are one and the same. I need the AG container one connection. Yeah, this guy, this is the guy I'm looking for. Yep, let me bring this out and let's do refresh the databases folder. It shows synchronizing. This is what I was expecting. So I kept moving from because this guy and this current primary, they are one and the same. It's the same instance. So I was looking for the AG container one. So I was expecting what I'm seeing right now, that the synchronization should show synchronizing because the availability mode has been switched from synchronous to asynchronous. Okay, what else can I show you guys? Now, you would think because, so the other thing that I did, you would think because this server, so let's go to the login here. So we go to the login, you see, this is the user that we use to set up the link server, okay? And so remember, even though this guy is the primary, the link server does not exist, even though this guy is a primary. The link server has nothing to do with this guy. So meaning the link server still sits here, the content availability group listener. So let's go here, expand. Let's refresh this and expand this. So the link server still stays between this AG container one, regardless of the current status of AG container one and the actual AG container listener connection. So if you refresh, sorry, that's not what I wanted to do. So if you refresh this guy, the catalog, and so you can see everything that belongs to AG container one when it comes to the content availability group. What are the use cases? So I went as far as creating the login that we are using for the to make the connection to this listener, this login here. So if you go to this, if you go to this listener, these are, what is it called? Connection. The connection is successful. Let's see the user that we have for this link server. Show me now user. So let's go to the content AG listener and go here. So what account are we using here? So we are having the Bertie account. Bertie user is what we're using here. So now you would think that if the AG container 2 is having Bertie user, that somehow it will favor in terms of the link server, because the link server was not created here in the first place. So it cannot work. So to, as dumb as that may sound, so I created, I used the SPL ref login stored procedure. I scripted out the permission. Sorry, I scripted out the login and the password for Bertie, and I ran that. It gave me this SID SID number and hash the password, and I was able to run that against this AG2, and that's why we have this user here. I did not manually create this user. I created this user using the script here that I scripted out from the AG container one, which was my primary at the time. But even with this guy now here, it does not magically bring the link server that is on the previous primary to this guy. It stays that way. But can you connect to this user that I created using the SID from the primary on this AG container 2? Don't take my words for it. So let's find it. AG container 2, you switch to SQL authentication, and we say just Bertie, and we type the password. Okay, we have the password, and we check that. So now to AG container 2, see, I'm able to connect. Just pause for a second and think about that. That, even though I didn't do it live because I don't want a video to be long, that user was created using the SID from the AG container 1. And here we are able to connect using that user to the AG container 2, which is the current primary. And we can see that user has a very lower level permission. He's not able to see the availability group properties. He's not even able to see AG SQL Server agent folder. He's not able to, let's see the list, link server. He's not able to see any link server. He's not able to see anything, but that's not the point. The point is that you're able to connect with that guy, and that guy has nothing to do with the link server that was created. This is whatever I'm showing has to do with what I can remember. So I hope I'm not missing something that I promised I was going to show. I think this is all I got. Now, if we fell back, so what's the lesson learned here? Everything remains the same except for the link server, and that also then also jobs, SQL jobs. So if I want to go into that, this is going to make this video long. So remember, okay, let me disconnect from this guy. So this is the previous primary. So this primary has a job. If you go to the job folder, if you do this and go to the actual job, you will see a job that says in front of you and a job that says outside contained job. This job was created on the primary previously, which is now the secondary. So once you create a job outside of the contain AG listener, that job does not exist on your contain server. And when you create a job on the content server, that job does not exist on your external primary. That's just how it works. So if you go to your content AG connection using the listener, which is this guy, you will have a job. So yeah, content AG, yep, this guy. So I got to start my agent job and say yes. Okay, I can go to the configuration manager to do that. So let's refresh. And yep, I think that guy is up and running. So let's go here. So let's refresh. Where am I? AG. Okay, so this could be some of the changes that happen when you change, when you fail over. Okay, so this guy is disabled, and I'm trying to bring it up. Okay, it is now up. So let's see the job that we have in there. So the job here stays here. It was created here and it stays here. The job lives here. This job, you can find this job on your external primary. It doesn't exist. So this job contain job and inside content job does not exist on your AG container one, right? Of course, it's not going to be here on your current primary. If you go to the job, it doesn't even exist here. Yep, this is it. Doesn't exist. So that's how it works. So anything that you want to work within the content, create that within the content availability group listener, and you can use it to get things across to multiple replicas. So for now, that are part of the content availability group. So that's what I wanted to show to us. I hope this helps. Okay, so I wanted to add something, a very important fact, even though I have done that on my the part two of my video on this topic, which is um, when you have an application that requires a sysadmin permission, right? Instead of giving that application a sysadmin permission on your regular server, for example, on your external primary or on your secondary in your production environment, instead of giving that application that sysadmin permission, Content Availability Group provides an amazing solution to that concern. So what you can do um, is to create. It is either you add that application database to your existing content availability group and provide it sysadmin, which I wouldn't advise, but it's still better than giving it a sysadmin on your main production server. So what I would advise is instead of putting it, just literally adding it to the content availability group, like for it to become part of this database. Let's say that's a mortgage DB, right? That belongs to Chase Bank or Bank of America. So instead of uh, having that mortgage DB database on your main external server, so what you do is you create that database within your content uh, availability group. Okay, you have that database within your content availability group, and then happily grant a sysadmin permission. Okay, grant a sysadmin permission to that application login or user. Give that permission within the content availability group. What that means is you have to give that permission when you connect to your availability group listener. From there, you now grant a sysadmin, even though that database is on. So yeah, so you grant a sysadmin to that particular database within the context of your content availability group, and everybody will be happy because the user with that sysadmin will not be able to exercise the power of the system administrator beyond the content availability group server. So that is also a use case, a very good use case um, scenario for content availability group. I just wanted to add that. Okay, I hope that helps.